Let me tell you a story. It's not easy, but if you've ever kept quiet just to keep the peace, only to get hurt anyway, you'll know why I gotta share this. So, where are y'all watching from? I love knowing where my stories are reaching. Don't be shy, now. It all started with a suitcase and a prayer. I swear. I was standing on the porch of my son Jeremy's place. My only son, my baby boy, the apple of my eye, clutching my old burgundy suitcase. In the other hand, I had a tin of his favorite oatmeal cookies. The porch light was flickering, casting a weak orange glow on the steps. I even brought roses from my old garden, wrapped in damp paper towels and foil, hoping his wife might like them, hoping she'd see me as family, not a problem. "Ma, you're early," Jeremy mumbled, opening the door but not moving out of the way. He looked like he'd just woken up from who know when, with bleary eyes and a mustard stain on his shirt. No offer to carry my bag, no hug. I told myself it was nothing, as I awkwardly got in the house. I moved in because the doc said I shouldn't be alone anymore. My blood pressure was going crazy, my ankles were swelling, and I'd fainted near the stove a few weeks before. Jeremy had said he wanted me closer, said it'd be good for the grandkids, said, "It's time we took care of you, Ma." And I believed him. The guest room reeked of fresh paint and dust. An old futon was shoved in the corner with musty sheets, and a box of Jeremy's college books sat in the closet, clearly untouched for years. Thin curtains hung on the window, letting in some yellowed old light, and a faded picture of a lighthouse was the only thing on the walls. It wasn't much, but it was more than I asked for. I was thankful, at least at first. The first week or so was all stiff smiles and quick dinners. His wife, Melinda, barely spoke to me. She'd cook dinner in silence, banging the spoon against the pots, as if they'd done something wrong. Jeremy would come home late from work and plop himself down in front of the TV, letting out a sigh that weighed more than words. I offered to help cook. "Melinda's got it," he'd say. I offered to fold laundry. "We have a system, Ma." I offered to pick up the kids from school. "They take the bus?" So I sat in silence every day, just waiting for someone to look me in the eye, waiting for someone to talk to me. One night, while I was making a small plate of fruit, pork made my stomach churn, I heard Jeremy sighing behind me. "Ma," he said, like he'd said it 1,000 times in his head, "you're not in your own house anymore. You can't just do stuff the way you used to." My hand froze. He didn't yell, he didn't insult, but something in his voice, a condescending coldness, made me shake. I had just apologized. I still don't know what for. 2 days later, I overheard him telling Melinda in the hallway, I told her not to touch the thermostat. It's like having a toddler again. I wasn't supposed to hear it, but I did. I had only turned it up 1 degree. My feet were cold because the floor was cold concrete. That night, I cried into my pillow, harder than I had in years. But you wouldn't have known it by how I acted in the morning. I straightened my back, tied my scarf, and greeted the kids with a smile. I told myself, "You are stronger. You raised a man. Don't let him make you do something." But then Jeremy asked me to stop using so many spices in my tea. The cinnamon made the house smell weird. This was the same man that used to drink from my cup when he was 6 and said, Ma, it tastes like Christmas." Who would have imagined this? Melinda left the dishes in the sink after breakfast. I did what I always do, washed them. She walked in, leaned on the fridge, and said, "You know, we didn't ask you to do that." Her tone was sweet but sharp. I don't mind, I said, drying the last plate. Yeah, but it's kind of like you're making me look bad. That hit me harder than she could know. I said nothing, smiled, and folded the dish towel as neatly as I could. That night, I overheard them through the thin walls. She just hovers, Melinda said. She's trying to help, Jeremy said without much force. I didn't marry into this to live with your mother. I didn't think she'd be like this. Then, silence. I clutched my blanket and stared at the ceiling, wishing I could vanish. A week later, Jeremy forgot to pick up my blood pressure meds. I reminded him twice. It's not like you're dying, Ma, he said with a chuckle. That night, I fainted again. No one heard me fall. I lay on the bathroom floor until the morning light showed under the door. But the worst hadn't happened yet. If I knew what he'd do next, I still thought my son loved me. What happened next was pure humiliation. It happened at breakfast. Something simple, something super messed up. I had laid out toast, scrambled eggs, and some sausage Jeremy liked as a kid. I'd gotten up early before the sun came up, just to give myself something to do. It helped to have something to do. It helped me to feel needed. But when Jeremy walked in, phone in hand, he didn't even look at the table. He looked at his phone the entire time, poured himself coffee and said, "Next time, ask before using the sausage. That's mine." I blinked. "It's for everyone," I said. "No, Ma, it's not. You just take stuff from the freezer like this is your house." His voice was flat, bored, but his words felt like a whip. Melinda came in then, took one look at the food, and smirked. "I told you," she said to Jeremy, grabbing her protein shake. "She thinks she's still the queen of the castle." They both laughed. And I just stood there holding the spatula, like I was a stranger, or even less than that. I went to my room and laid on the bed while the laughter continued. The thin walls didn't help comfort me while the laughter continued. I sat on the edge of that lumpy futon with stiff knees and trembling fingers. And for the first time I asked myself, I think they hate me. Later, I tried talking to Jeremy alone, as was going through it in my head, to ask, not accuse, just ask, why things felt so cold. "Ma," he rubbed his temples, "you're always around, always offering stuff, always hovering. It's smothering, okay?" I felt crushed, and I tightened my chest. "I only want to help. I didn't ask for help." He said it slowly, deliberately, like each word was a nail inside. The next days were a blur. The temperature in the house was always low, even when the thermostat read 70. Everything was so cold, cold from the eyes of everyone else that lived there. The kids stopped saying good morning. Melinda started slamming cabinets louder. Jeremy spent more and more time at work, and me, I shrank, little by little. Then came the moment. I still wish it had been a dream. It was past noon. I'd skipped breakfast. I was reading when Jeremy walked in, holding a stainless steel dog bowl. It was empty, clean. He put it on the kitchen table and grinned. "You hungry, Ma?" he asked. I looked up, confused. Then I got an answer when he poured some leftovers in it. "Well?" he asked. "It's all the same in the stomach, right?" Melinda said while trying to hold her laughter. "You're such an butthole. Ha ha." He laughed some more and said, "Why do you even care what you eat? You're not paying for it anyway." I left the table, not with dignity, not with anger, with shame, with shaking hands, with a lump in my throat. In my room, I locked the door. I sat on the bed, staring at the wall and crying with everything in me, crying more than I had ever cried before. That night, I decide that it was enough and that I can't do this anymore, and I deserve better than this. Starting the next morning, everything was going to change from that day on. The next morning, the house had to be cleaned, and things need changing and starting over. Melinda noticed the change and got mad at it, said, "What is the hell this?" I replied with a kitchen. Then she stared at me, and I didn't flinch or let it bother me anymore. The next I got my planner and looked for resources for counsel and other things and started a list of things that I need to do so I can finally get out of this hellhole. Eventually, Jeremy noticed all the acting up that I was doing. So he came up to my room and started yelling, "What the hell is this?" He then looks and sees all the article that I was looking up. "You're acting so weird. Are you sick or something?" "I'm finally getting better," I replied. What I said made him mad and nervous. I didn't care. He then started talking trash because I'm old. In the end, though, it just let me know that I'm doing something right, and the time that he is nervous and mad is just the amount of time that I'm doing something right. The ending finally came a few days later. I was folding clothes, and then I hear Jeremy talking the trash on the phone, saying that she old and pushy. If she keeps it up, it'll drop her at an old folks' home. I was done. The next day the plan was going to be done. More research, and then a safety box for my belongings. Just a lot of bad things to start up. The plan was officially in progress. I did everything the next day that I need so I can finally leave. 2 buses and a walk with strangers. I finally to the lawyers. I told her everything, and we got a protection plan in progress, too. This was actually it. Me finally having control back. Back at the room, the tension in the air was so bad. Jeremy saw me and gave me a dirty look, then asked, Were you? I replied with out, and Jeremy got so mad. But I also didn't care. The chain was now broken. I thought about how I can leave this kind of situation. The only thing I can do is to mourn and plan and be better than this. To also act better, and this situation will finally turn around, and karma will start to happen. Melinda then stormed in and started getting angry. She was all out to attack. At time, I didn't hold it back. I just stood my ground, and this time she walked away. I had asked her that I might need help soon, and the rescue from Tanya will be started soon, and I would finally make the exit. I had to keep fighting so I can escape soon. It's going to happen as long as I don't give up and finally push through. If they won't do anything now. I talked and helped everything get ready for the exit, and they got so mad and said they would hit me and raise their voices with me, but I didn't cave. I stood strong and said that this would be the last time this happened, and that I would call the cops forever. After that, everything in the world changed. It never felt so happy to be free from the things that have had me in the gut for so many years. The Reverend was so kind and helpful when I got to see him again. Everything that was the kindest that I have ever talked to. It was really the greatest thing in the world as the people started to help me and feel kind. On the bus ride home, nothing felt so powerful. I felt on top of the world, and nothing could come close to how I felt. It just had me so positive and happy that thing would change. Jeremy started to get mad and asked, "What's in there?" And I said things I needed, and then yelled. But I never cared. I just stood my ground and let it be. After that, I thought for the first time that I can finally leave. "You've had a change," said Jeremy. And then I said, I got better. I then realized that I can be the bigger person, and I do have control over everything. I had never had the feeling that everything was mine and mine alone. After that, I started to just be happy and be the best person that I could possibly be. That night, Melinda showed up drunk and said that she thought I was tearing the family apart. She walked away, and I never cared. She was out of my life. The rescue came. And Tanya helped, but I said that it was to fast, and that I was ready for everything. I wanted this to hurt more than everything, to show everything that there is more to the old me than they have ever believed. That plan was now in the making, because I'm here to show that I will get better and to be the biggest person that I can possibly be. Everyone was called to be where I was, and it was going to happen. During my long spill, Tanya had never seemed so proud. I had always wanted to be the great and best person. After that speech, it was done. I was out, and I never looked back. Out with the old and always with the new. While there was goodbyes, everything in the world was great to be going out of it and forever out of there. It felt so happy to have all these people support me and all these people be kind to me and show me respect. Everyone was now kinder and helping with everything. That next week, I was helping with everything and was kind the entire time. Now that I was out, the past was the past, and not much else mattered. And that was that. Because forgiveness wasn't something that I needed. It was just something that I don't needed to make and give. Because kindness, if what I'm after, nothing more. Kindness and freedom. Time went by, and then everything started to feel different when I really broke down all the points and all the parts that caused this. It all finally made sense. It wasn't me, it was them. And everything that I need to do to start over was amazing. Everyone that ever hurt me or made me feel small started to get better, and it gave me peace and quiet. There was no point and no part that ever mattered anymore. The only thing ever mattered when it came to that area was how I was able to be happy and live with all the mistakes that were made. One Sunday, there was a reverend that asked me to speak, and I asked what I was going to speak about. And the only thing that he said was about me and everything that has happened, and everyone was in tears. All the things that ever mattered got left in the past, and it felt the greatest thing in the ever for me. I got a letter in my name, and it was amazing how happy but yet sad I was to get it. I put it down, and I was going to touch it till never happens, because everything that was meant to came by itself. The circle of life starts again. I was then given a plot in the community garden. With the plot, it showed that everyone that was mean and evil never had control and never will. Everyone that showed me support and happiness will always show love. I always think about him. All the bad things that happened, and nothing will ever explain it. Everything that was happy got took, and everything that was bad showed. I feel for the first time it was great and perfect to never lose control and let things never get too small. I showed and became the woman I was always going to be. During all the change, one person asked to come back, and what I said back was, it was all up to me to move on. It was never going to be the decision to let people decide my past. Sometimes those people need to back off or move on, and all the things that there is. It never mattered. I wrote how I felt, not how it was meant to be. Freedom is not given always, but the choice to live is a free choice. Then for all the power I said not to, was it good? But it's not anymore. I'm just going to live and keep move because I deserve better. Everyone will always call, and they will never show how I feel. But I deserve just the same amount as when I chose become. Not mad or sad, but me. All the things I was meant to me there. It turned out I walked up there one last time to look, and the past was over. I thought how I would never go back down. It was now I would move on, And that happened. I looked up and started to keep walking, knowing the path was only getting beat and keep working for me. My journey had only kept going. I hope those who related to it did also move on, and I see all the people and support that was shown, and to never give up. I thank you for those who watched, and please leave something to support those who were never, ever heard.